welcome back to another edition of the Chicago White Sox here on OOTP 25. And as you can see, we have quite a few staff members retiring. Our bench coach retired. Our scouting director retired, which is always a big bummer because you have to rebuild up your whole scouting network, essentially. And then also our manager, Joe Madden, has retired. So we have 3 spots on the staff to be replacing this offseason. And then we also have a couple decisions to make. We would have had to make a decision on Tyler Mahle if he did not have a career-ending injury. We do have to make a decision on Zach Littell, which is going to be an easy one. We will not be bringing him back. Let's just see very quickly if anybody wants him. No. We can trade for a bad Logan Gilbert. Not interested in doing that. So Zach Littell, we are just going to do his option. Void that last contract here, pay $1.7 million instead of the $17 million he is on the hook for this upcoming season. Pretty self-explanatory stuff, voiding that last contract year. Then Jason Foley, who we could bring back for $1.5 as our super opener man, or we could void him. And I think just because he's been really good for us for 3 seasons now as the super opener guy, we might as well do it again. He's a part of the lore at this point. Jason Foley, we are executing that option. He will be back for hopefully another season. He does still have an option year, 5 years of service. So I think he can start declining those now. But I doubt we set him down anyways. And then we have a budget of $212 million as it stands right now. Team payroll of $110 is what we are projected to have. So right now we have the 30th payroll. We're projected to have the 23rd budget. Our budget has gone up from last season, so that's good to see. We're going to try to improve. We're going to try to improve the team here, obviously. So we're here looking at who we're going to hire, and I think it's pretty obvious who we're going to hire here. Victor Garate. I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy is perfect. Legendary with amateurs, international, and minors. Outstanding with the major leagues. All of them are blue. He favors tools. I prefer tools guys. And, self-explanatory. Victor Garate is going to be our scouting director here for the foreseeable future. All right, so we're having to do our offseason in a bit of a different way because we don't have our scat right now, so we can't really see we can't see our guys' ratings right now. So we don't really know what these guys are going to be looking like, but we also want to be able to see our scout before we make some other decisions on the rest of our roster. But if we don't do the dev lab right now, then we won't be able to do the second set of dev lab when it comes to spring training to do the defense stuff. So we need to do the dev lab now before we start advancing a couple days before we get our scout in the house so we can start evaluating some of our players better. So we're just kind of going based on things I remember from what the guys' ratings were, and also just kind of going with some buy low sort of stuff. Like Jacob Gonzalez, I remember that he had some power to tap into, so we're going to try to tap into that power. Grant Taylor, increased pitch movement. Basically, everybody has it available in this game, so we're going to see if maybe we can improve his pitch movement. And then Jeremy Gonzalez, who is a reliever, who we are trying to tap into just a secondary pitch improvements. Maybe it is something where, I don't know. Maybe it's something that's able to improve, but just kind of a buy low thing. He's a possible player for us this upcoming season. Jacob Tobias, trying to tap into his quality of contact, see if we could turn him into a really good hitter. Jose Peroza, trying to tap into his quality of contact. Same thing with Hudson Head, who has struggled to make quality contact the past couple seasons. Same thing with Nick McLean, who I could go with Gap for him. I'm kind of tempted to go Gap. Honestly, let's just go Gap. Let's just go Gap for Nick McLean, because I feel like with his speed, it would make sense. So Gap for Nick McLean. And then we're also trying to increase pitch movement for Jaden Barfield, who is a potential pitching option for us within the next season or two. And then we have Jake Neely, who was our 14th round pick in 2024, and he's developed quite nicely, trying to tap into one of his secondary pitches to improve. And then Ricardo Gomez, as a potential starting option, trying to improve his control to make his movement play a little bit better because the stuff is just never going to be great with him. So those are the 10 guys we're going with for the first set. Obviously not the most ideal situation, but I want to be able to get our scout in-house and be able to actually evaluate our players better before we start making decisions on like who's coming back and who's playing where and whatnot. And we're not making this stuff just based on OSA ratings, obviously. So also, our staff was feuding again, so we have decided to make some wholesale changes here. You can see we're bringing in a bunch of different players here, or a bunch of different managers and coaches, as we promoted Sergio Santos to be our manager, and we're just trying to make sure that people don't hate each other, and we can actually get some good staff cohesion going this season. We're on November 14th here, and we're about to have the awards get unveiled here, and our scout still has not responded to us. He said that he prefers the offer. Everybody else has signed their contracts here as we have our entire staff signed, except for our scouting director who prefers the offer. He just hasn't gotten back to us. And there we go. Finally, multiple days into the unveiling of the awards here, we finally have our scout, Victor Garate, in-house. We can finally actually get some valuations going on here and decide what we're going to do with our roster. Finally. All right, so just a rough idea of what we're standing with or what we're sitting with here when it comes to players that we think are guaranteed going to be back on this team next season. On the pitching side of things, we might actually have quite a bit of turnover this offseason because we have a lot of veteran guys that we're probably going to be moving on from. Like Tanner Banks is a arbitration guy who is up to $8.1 million in arbitration for the final year of team control. Maybe we could bring him back. He's been really, really good for us, obviously, but also, it's the smart thing to probably look to trade him. So, it just depends on if there's going to be anything out there for him, or if the game is just going to say, fuck you, you can't trade this guy who's been an elite reliever for 3 straight seasons. And a very good reliever for that first season. So, it's just going to depend on what's out there for him. But, we don't exactly want to bring him back, but if we have to, I guess we could attempt to. We also have guys like Andrew Kittredge, who is almost 38 years old, and obviously has been good for us, but is coming off his worst season that he's had for us when it comes to home runs allowed. His FIP wasn't as good as it has been. So, we could probably look to move on from a guy like this. Or like Alex Lang, who has been good for us coming off the worst season of his... or I guess he was good for us that first season where he picked him up from Detroit, and then he was up and down this year, but finished not great. And is also arbitration eligible, it looks like. Yeah. Or no, he's just a straight free agent? He's just a straight free agent. So yeah, he's not coming back. Obviously, Sean Armstrong's not coming back. He's also hurt. Zach Littell, we've already declined. Matt Manning is a guy who we might look to bring back. I mean, especially at these numbers. Matt Manning, we will definitely be looking more into this to see what we want to offer him. But he will be back. So Matt Manning, you can put him back on the team. But Tanner Banks, like I said, a lot of dudes in the bullpen who we're just gonna be moving on from, or just guys we don't really think are that great in general. Like Scott Barlow was a pickup at the deadline. He was not great, and we're probably not looking to bring him back either on a big extension. Felix Bautista was good for us, but he's probably gonna want a shit ton of money. Yeah, I'm not paying a reliever $23 million. It's just not happening. So Felix Bautista is going to the market. We have Jeffrey Springs, who we picked up, who is a veteran. Maybe we look to bring him back, because he is on paper a very good pitcher, even if he wasn't pitching very well for us. So it's we've had so much trouble trying to find good pitchers in this universe. Should we try to bank on, if we give him maybe a 2-3 year deal, that he's going to be good through his age 35, 36, and 37 seasons? Maybe, but also at the same time, probably what's going to happen is we sign him and then he immediately drops down in overall and he's no longer playable, and this home runs allowed goes down to 45, and all of a sudden we're paying a guy a bunch of money to do absolutely nothing for us and be a horrible pitcher. So leaning not bringing him back. And then we've just got a bunch of guys like Liager, who on paper is good, but just hasn't really ever put together for us in the major leagues, except for that first season for us. The past 2 seasons, he's gotten a decent bit of sample size and wasn't really that great. Then we also have somebody like Kai Bush, who just has not put it together at the big league level for us. We have DL Hall, who we signed on a minor league contract this past season and did not pitch in the big leagues for us. So we might just be looking to try to get younger in the bullpen here. We've got guys like Hayden Younger. We've got Jared Kelly. We've got Trevor Rogers back for 1 more season. Jason Foley, who we have back for 1 more season. Jeremy Gonzalez is an up-and-coming prospect. We still have Ryan Hennon under team control. We've liked a little bit from him. Chase Hampton, we might give him a shot in the bullpen. Even though his extreme fly ball home runs allowed, it scares the hell out of me. But, maybe in like low leverage relief, it could be something that's decent. Because, you look at this guy, he's been really, really good in back-to-back seasons in AA and AAA. He has given up a shit ton of home runs in AAA, though, but AAA does have a pretty insane run environment. But hopefully this can stay around like a 1.5 is what I'm hoping for a guy like this. But I'm not exactly loving the chance that's going to happen. But we've got some other guys down in the minors that we could look at, too. We still have Landon Knack in the system, who we could give a 40-man roster spot to. We have Shane Boz, who we picked up. He's another extreme fly ball guy. He was on a minor league deal for us this past season. Tanner Bocabello, he was a draft pick of ours in 2024. He could be an option for us in the bullpen. We still have Jake Eater in the system. Probably not going to lean him, though. Funderburk is still here. He could be an option for us. Mackenzie Gore was another guy we signed on a minor league deal. We also have Shane Smith is still in the minor leagues for us. He could be an option at the big league level. Drew Thorpe is even still around. He could be a minor league option for us because he was returned from the Rule 5 draft because Houston played him and was not good in their bullpen, so maybe we don't play him. Victor Vagnet's still here. Steven Wilson, probably going to get rid of him. But then even down in AA, we've got somebody like Jaden Barfield, who we'd like. Brody Brecht could be an option for us at the big league level this season, potentially. Ricardo Gomez is an option. Yair Irate as a possible reliever could be an option. Aiden Moza here is a possible relief option with some really big stuff and low control. We've got a bunch of different young... Caden Campbell's a very interesting player. You get the idea. Pedro Redman, he's somebody we could go with. Schleichinger even. We've got a bunch of different options that we could go with here at the big league level that could definitely help us in our bullpen. So we don't need to be bringing back all these like veteran guys and guys who just haven't really performed for us. So we're probably going to try to get a bit younger in the bullpen, get more controllable there. And then as far as the rotation goes, like Santucci is going to be back. McDougal, we hope, can replicate his success next season in the rotation. Grant Taylor was pretty good in the rotation for us. Obviously not going to think of him anything more than a 4 or 5 guy, but he could be an option for us still here next season. And then Noah Cameron as well could be an option. So basically we have like 4 guys, none of them true aces. If there's like a free agent out there that really, really we love and would like push one of these guys to the bullpen, I would be fine with that. If we could pick up like 2 starters, push one of these guys to the bullpen, that would be fantastic. But, we'll see what happens. And then as far as the offensive side of things, we're just trying to get better. We're trying to get more well-rounded here on the offense because that was really what killed us, I feel like. I have my gripes with how the actual in-game sims go when you're watching the games like that, but I felt like our pitching was good all season long, and it was just the offense that really fell apart down the stretch because aside from our monster of Ramos, Jenkins, Montgomery, and Caro, really nobody else hit on this team. Like Noah Miller is really the only one out of that group who has like a guaranteed spot in my mind simply because he's just such a good defender at shortstop that we're not going to find anybody better than him at that position at the moment. So he's going to be our shortstop. And then as far as second base, is it going to be Brooks Lee? Maybe. Is it going to be Jacob Gonzalez? Maybe. Is it going to be Sheng-Shei Sheng? Maybe. It could be one of these guys. It could be somebody from outside the system. Who knows? Same thing with left and center field. Is it going to be Zavala in left field? We like him. We think he could be good. But is he actually going to be good for us? Has not given us that yet so far in his time in the big leagues. Hudson Head, we like him, but also probably more so suited to be a fourth outfielder than a starting center fielder at this point. So, who knows? And then DH, is it going to be Jacob Tobias? Is it going to be Brooks Baldwin? Is it going to be somebody else? Things are up in the air. So basically, the only guaranteed roster spots at the offensive side of things, the position players, are Caro, Montgomery, Jenkins, Ramos, and Noah Miller, and then the rest of them could be, we could just end up running back what we did last season if I feel like that's our best course of option, just based on who's available and what trades we can swing or something like that. But we are going to at least try to mix things up here with those positions, and then, like I said, try to acquire a starter or two and some more young players in the bullpen as we head into 2028 and try to compete once again. Yeah, I mean, this is just the stuff that pops up for Tanner Banks, who has just been this super reliever for us, multiple-time All-Star, would be an absolutely stud reliever for anybody in Major League Baseball, but it just doesn't have any value. It just has no value when it comes to anything in this game. So, the offers we're getting is just a bunch of different, 40 overall guys, 45s. We could get Jonathan Clase to be terrible. This guy to be nothing. We could get an overpaid Ha-Seong Kim. We could get this guy who can't actually hit. We could get a catcher who could frame and do nothing else. We can get Aaron Ashby, who's on his contract. We can get a bad, I guess he's fine, but a reliever, Logan Gilbert. I guess this guy's okay-ish. This guy's whatever. It's not what you would expect out there for a guy like Tanner Banks. So we might just be keeping Tanner Banks again, to be honest. We do the prospect package, and we allow them to include another player on our team, and it's stuff like, hey, give us 2 of your best relievers, and we'll give you this 23-year-old guy who's super far from the major leagues and is never going to be anything. Sounds awesome, man. Same thing for the multiplayer package, allowing AI to include players from our team. It's like, hey, we'll give you Bo Bichette's contract, even though he's a terrible player in this universe, and then Braxton Ashcraft, who you've already had, who is not good. Or hey, the Mariners will give us this package of all these different guys. I guess 2 of them who are useless. One of them is an okay reliever. One of them's a prospect who's probably not going to develop, if you had to imagine. And then, in order to do that, all we have to do is just give them Tanner Banks, our best reliever, a starting pitcher who we like, prospect, and then also give them a guy who could be a generational closer prospect. So yeah, that's obviously a no. Banks, and then a catcher who could be really good for us defensively for Chris Bryant's contract. That's an awesome offer there. How about Christian Yelich's contract? Yeah, not doing that. How about Patrick Sandoval's contract for just literally we have to give them a prospect too to get Patrick Sandoval and this guy? That's awesome stuff. The Giants would want to give us just 2 useless players and Thairo Estrada's contract. The Twins would give us Carlos Correa's contract. That's how nice of them. The Braves would give us Eduardo Rodriguez's contract as a reliever. That's cool. The Red Sox would give us Masataka Yoshida. That's just awesome. Awesome stuff there. And we would have to give them a prospect in order for this to go through. The Rangers would give us Kyle Hendricks, who's 37 years old and signed for 3 more years, and Justin Foscue, who I guess is okay. He looks pretty decent. But, we would also have to give them one of our top pitching prospects in order to make that happen. So this is what I'm talking about. This is why I don't do trades unless it's just picking up a reliever or something on an expiring contract at the deadline, or just dumping controllable relievers once they hit arbitration, because these are the offers that you get. You get nothing. There's no point even doing them. And I've even ticked down the difficulty on the trades. It's just how this game is. We also just got one of these cool fake offers. These are my favorite kind of offers, where I was just like, hey, Alex Ramirez hasn't worked out for us. We've given him some chances. Doesn't even work out in the minor leagues, really. He's also on his last option year. He has no more options. So I just don't think this guy is going to be on our roster. So I was like, oh, what could we get for Alex Ramirez here? So we shop him around, and, there's a couple different, 45 guys that I haven't really looked at. There's, Luis Lara, who could maybe be, he's nothing. Andy Yerzy, not really anything, not going to make enough contact. Dylan O'Reilly is usually interesting to me. Gavin Keelan, who is a first baseman, third base, like an infielder, like a not shortstop infielder, essentially, who could be a slap sort of hitter, maybe. But the main thing that really jumped out to me was Tristan McKenzie, because it says he has 2 years left, but it's actually just one, because it hasn't flipped over to the next season yet, so it's still showing this contract. But 14.2 for 1 year of Tristan McKenzie, who at least is right now a low. We're trying to scout him. We don't know what he actually is, but he's coming off. He's had some decent seasons. He had 2 really good seasons in the rotation. Then he struggled in the rotation in 2026, moved to the bullpen. It was actually quite solid for them. He's got that really good personality class. He's got some good ratings. So I was like, why not see if we could channel Tristan McKenzie in the bullpen, or even as a starter for us. They're offering him to us for Alex Ramirez, so I'm like, sure, we'll do this. And then you pull this up, and it's instantly like, oh no, we're offering this to you, but you also still need to make this work. So basically, I need to give them something else to get Tristan McKenzie, even though we're giving them a player like this, and we're taking on his contract. And it's like, oh, give us a starter who you like, or give us Jose Peroza, or give us this guy who could be something like a depth infielder for you. Or Seaver King, who you just picked up and is looking like he could be a decent fourth outfielder type. Or Ryan Burrows, who looks like he could be a decent fourth infielder, not fourth infielder, but a depth infielder coming off a really, really good season in Double-A. Probably never going to be a starting shortstop, though. Maybe he is, who knows? Or it's give us this Campana guy. So, I don't know why they offered this to us, but it was interesting to me if we were just going to be able to do it. Is there somebody else we could give them that's going to So now I just re-shopped him, even though I haven't advanced the day or anything. And now Tristan McKenzie's not on this list. It's just the same list, but no Tristan McKenzie. What was the point of that? Alrighty, folks, so we have reached the point in the offseason where the offseason awards have been given out, or the season awards have been given out. The National League's MVP was Jackson Chourio of the Milwaukee Brewers, with Ronald Acuna and Elly De La Cruz behind him. On the American League side of things, it was Julio Rodriguez with Juan Soto, and then Brian Ramos finishing third in the AL MVP vote. The Cy Young in the National League goes to Robbie Snelling of the San Diego Padres, with Max Fried and Spencer Schwellenbach of the Mets behind him. And then over on the American League side of things, it's Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox, with Grayson Rodriguez and Corbin Burns at 2 and 3. Is that back-to-back for Houck? It is. That's back-to-back Cy Youngs for Tanner Houck. Jesus Christ. When it comes to Rookies of the Year, you have Yoendry Vargas of the Los Angeles Dodgers here. And then on the American League side of things, it is Asbel Gonzalez, that center fielder for the Mariners, who we saw in the league leaders towards the end of the season. We actually did not have any Silver Sluggers, so first base Silver Slugger was Juan Soto and not Brian Ramos. I guess that's fair. Unfortunate that we're in the same league as Juan Soto when we have Brian Ramos at first base. And then the best reliever in the National League was Jose Alvarado of the San Francisco Giants. While on the American League side of things, it was Emmanuel Clase with Tanner Banks behind him, and then Trevor Rogers also got votes here in fourth place. Alrighty, folks, we are here at the portion of the offseason where we have signed our IFA class. It's a small one this season, but for good reason. We went after one of the top guys available, one of them being Aaron Hayes. He was the top guy available that we were interested in. The other ones just weren't really that interesting to me, but this guy, not usually a big go after starting pitchers in the IFA class, but this guy, I just felt like his ceiling was just so high that we had to take a shot on this guy. Aussie pitcher, 16 years old, 80 grade stuff, 60 grade movement, 65 grade control. 3 elite pitches with a really good fastball to go along with it, 65 stamina, 65 hold runners, and high work ethic. I mean, like I said, the ceiling is just way too high for me not to at least attempt to develop this guy. So we ended up getting him for $4.9 million in this IFA class, and then we managed to get 3 players alongside him as well, and Frank Vandermeer, a 50 potential Dutch outfielder, lefty-lefty guy. Looks like he could be like a decent corner outfield type. We'll just probably immediately make him a left fielder. And then we also have Hector Vasquez, who looks like he could be a decent reliever, curveball cutter mix, good stuff, movement control, throws decently hard, has good high adaptability and work ethic. And then we also picked up a shortstop who could potentially be an actual shortstop. High leader, high loyalty, low greed, low adaptability and intelligence, but still the other stuff is solid. Decent enough bat with some 70 range. Figured why not take a chance on this guy. And those were the 4 players we picked up in the IFA. So also Vandermeer was $230,000. Vasquez was $110,000, and then Jesus Alonso was $460,000. And we are now here at March 30th. It is time to kick off the 2028 campaign, but as always, before we do that, it is time to go over everything that happened here in this offseason. So first things first, we'll start off with, we made a bunch of changes to our coaching staff here. A bunch of guys retired. Joe Madden retired, our scout retired, our bench coach retired. And then we also fired a couple guys because our staff was just feuding with some of the guys where their personality just didn't align with other guys' personalities of what they didn't work well with. So we've just had a feuding staff for a couple seasons now. So we tried to right that ship this offseason, bringing in a new scout and everybody that we brought in. So the scout we brought in, Victor Garate, I mean, basically the best scout you could even dream of. 43 years old, going to be around for a long time. Legendary in everything except for Major Leagues, which is just, only outstanding. And then favors tools. So, elite scout. And then the rest of the staff we brought in, bench coach Clayton Tanner, Australian guy. He has decent ratings across the board. Figured why not. Assistant GM, we got a new one of those as well. He works well with our staff. And then also we have a new third base coach who isn't as good as our other one, but he still has outstanding infield defense. And then the other stuff isn't, it's not like the other stuff is horrible. We did end up trading Alex Ramirez to the Milwaukee Brewers in return for Gavin Keelan. He is going to be in AA for us to start the season. Don't really think too much of this guy, but I just figured why not pick up a guy like this who has multiple options, wasn't eligible for the Rule 5 draft, and we just got rid of Alex Ramirez because we had no room for him on our roster. He was not going to play for us, had no options, so we sent him to Milwaukee, where apparently he is either on waivers or on their actual team. It looks like they have not waived him, so it looks like he's just going to be on their team this season. And then we did actually bring back a couple guys that we weren't really planning on bringing back. The first one, Matt Manning, we did plan on bringing him back. I mentioned that. We gave him a 3-year deal at $1.5 million per, and it's 3 years. So it's 1.5 guaranteed, and then 2 team option years with a 1.5 and a 1.5 as well. And he's also being promised a starting rotation spot because he just would not accept it without that. And I figured, why not give him a rotation spot? He's got the movement, he's got the control, he's got the stamina. Why not see what he can do in the rotation for us? So he's going to be a starter for us this year, and we're going to hope that he's going to be good for us. And then we also decided to bring back Tanner Banks for one more season, $8 million for him. He's going to be our super left-handed stopper once again. And then we also brought back Jeffrey Springs. Was not planning on this happening, but he was going to take a 1-year deal for $18 million. So I was like, why not? I'm not going to give you a multi-year deal. That was the big thing that I wasn't really sure about him. But 1 year, $18 million? Absolutely. Sign me up. Jeffrey Springs back in the rotation here for another season for us. And then we didn't have a huge offseason, or a huge free agency, I should say, as far as it goes with how many players we brought in. But we did have a pretty big one with the player we brought in, There wasn't any big-time bats out there, unfortunately, and that was what I was really hoping for, that we were going to just kind of break the bank for a big-time bat, even though I don't like breaking the bank for anything in free agency. But I just felt like we needed to do it. Unfortunately, it was not out there for us, so we kind of just had a couple guys around the margins. But pitching-wise, really leaning into our pitching here as we're just going to have an elite staff this season. Tanner Houck, back-to-back Cy Young Award winner, hits free agency. He won it in 2026. He won it in 2027. He won the World Series in 2025 with Boston. He's just been an elite pitcher throughout this entire save. I guess it started in 2023, so in 2023 was not good, but then boom, turns it right back on 2024 through 2027. He has been one of the best pitchers in baseball. Obviously, back-to-back Cy Young winning seasons. That's going to do it for you. So we got him. He's an Illinois guy. We brought him back to Illinois. And we got him on a pretty decently cheap deal, at least in my mind. $37.5 million for the first two seasons that are his age 31 and 32 years. Then it drops down to 32.5, and then it's 30.5, and then 28.5 for his age 35 season. All 5 of these are guaranteed, and we're hoping that he can be a really good pitcher for all 5 of these seasons. I don't necessarily expect him to be winning a third straight Cy Young, but if he can just be a consistent 3-win plus sort of pitcher for us, hell yes, sign me up. So Tanner Houck, he is our ace. We are leaning all the way into the pitching and defense with our team. And then really the only other free agent signing that we went out and got that wasn't just like a minor league guy is Sean Bouchard. We added him to our roster here. He's coming off a decent season with Philadelphia. It looks like platooning mainly with them. I've just always liked this guy in these games. Every time I see him, his ratings stand out to me. He's got the decent BABIP. He's got good gap, decent power, decent eye. It's obviously a lot better against lefties, but he's not a slouch against righties. He's got some good personality class. Decent enough in the corner outfield spot. Can play first base for you too. I figured why not try to get a bat here and maybe try to get a buy low sort of guy who plays well for us. So Sean Bouchard is joining our roster. And then before we actually get into going over how our lineups and pitching rotations and whatnot are actually looking, let's just quickly go through what happened in the Dev Lab. Pretty much no improvement for everybody in the first set except for Jaden Barfield, who slightly improved his movement. He is going to start the year for us in Double-A. He will be in the rotation, but he will be... Can I actually... Jesus Christ. He will be in the big leagues at some point this season. It was just a matter of he's not on the 40-man roster yet, and I didn't want to remove anybody from at the moment. So, I'm sure as the season goes on, Jaden Barfield will be in the big leagues at some point for us this year. And then we also slightly improved Jake Neely's potential and current on his curveball. That's also good. Boom, starter. I don't know why he went to the 45, but he did. Jake Neely, whatever. He'll be in Double-A to start the season as well. And then we also had an outstanding improvement for Ricardo Gomez as his current control improved by 5. I guess that's up to 45 now. He's a 45 potential starter. He's going to be in Double-A for us, not Triple-A. I don't want him in Triple-A yet. What am I doing? Go to Double-A, please. Boom. And then when it comes to the second set of Dev Labs, we had a couple guys, we had actually quite a few guys improve. Jacob Burke, he is a player we've had in our system since the start of this thing, and he's just kind of consistently developed into a decent corner outfielder type player for us. He's got some decent ratings against lefties. I've considered using him in that role. He's on the 40-man roster now. We might be seeing him at some point this season. So Jacob Burke, a little bit better in left field now as he gets an outstanding improvement out there. Sean Bouchard also improved his defense in left field. Colson Montgomery improved his defense at third base. He's looking quite fine there at that position now. We also picked up Ceddanne Rafaela, who was not really panned out for the Red Sox, but it looks like they traded him to Arizona at one point. He's fragile. He's currently on the IL, or not the IL. He's got 1 day left on his injury. But he's in Triple-A for us, is what I meant to say. The International League, that's the IL he's in. But, super versatile outfielder, infielder type. Who knows if he ever ends up in the big league roster for us, but he's in our organization here as a minor league free agent signing, and we improved his infield defense slightly. Javier Magolan have you say this guy's name? He's one of our prospects, 22 years old. He's in AAA to start the season. He could be a depth infielder type guy for us at some point. And then we also improved Jacob Gonzalez's defense, as well as Seaver King's defense, who's going to start the year in AAA. Zavala did have a poor outcome, but there were no noticeable changes, thankfully. And now, let's get into what our actual team looks like on the pitching side of things. Tanner Houck is our number one. He is our ace. Jonathan Santucci, who is now a 60 overall, is our number two. Beautiful stuff. Then it's Jeffrey Springs behind him as our third. And then we have Matt Manning as our fourth pitcher. So, pretty damn good rotation, I'd have to say so. And then Tanner McDougal is our number 5 guy, with Grant Taylor moving to the bullpen, become a stopper. He is the right-handed stopper, along with Tanner Banks, who is the left-handed stopper. And then you have the next tier of guys is Hayden Younger, who is our right-handed setup guy. Big-time stuff from him. I didn't realize he's from Illinois. He's from Illinois. That's good to see. Trevor Rogers, lefty. He's our lefty setup/stopper guy in that second tier of guys. And then it's Jordan Liesier. He's back up in the big leagues. Jeremy Gonzalez is a left-hander, 22 years old, out of Venezuela. And then we also have Noah Cameron back in this group, as well as Jason Foley as a right-hander. So we actually have 4 right-handers and 4 left-handers in the bullpen. It is completely split down the middle. We have an even amount for both of them. And then we have 2 lefties in the rotation, 3 righties in the rotation. So pretty good mix there. I like what we have. I'm very excited to see what this pitching staff does for us this season. And then on the hitting side of things, it is pretty similar against righties and lefties. We've got Caro leading things off once again. 1 through 4 is the same. It's Caro, Montgomery, Jenkins, Ramos against both sides. And then Tobias is hitting 5th. And then Zavala is hitting 6th. But it's Zavala with a catch. It's Zavala every second day Bouchard's playing. So it's basically Zavala, then Bouchard, Zavala, then Bouchard, Zavala, then Bouchard. So we're splitting time with these guys in left field against right-handed pitching. Hudson Head is playing center field for us again. And then let's go to the lineup here. So then it's Miller hitting 7th, Head and Gonzalez hitting 8th and 9th. And then we have Brooks Lee playing every second day at second base. So we're going to see who pulls away and who solidifies themselves as the second baseman or left fielder. If both of these guys play well, awesome. We've got ourselves 2 really good position players at both of these positions. If one of them plays well, boom. That's the guy who's taken over at that position. So at the moment, it's going to be these guys swapping at second base and left field, and we'll see who solidifies at those positions. And then also, I've talked about why I hit my worst hitter 7th before. You know, probably doesn't really matter too much, but I like to think of it as you want your 1 through 4, your 1 being your best OBP guy, 2 usually being your best overall hitter. Our best overall hitter is Brian Ramos, but he's also our best power guy, so I'd hit him 4th. And then, I just kind of think that Walker Jenkins is like our second best hitter, but Montgomery could be as well. So it's like, we could swap Montgomery to 3 and Jenkins to 2, but I like having them like this right now, so we keep it the way it is. And then, like I said, 4 is your best power guy. That's how I like to have it. And then 5, 6 are your next 2 best hitters. 7, I like having as your worst hitter, because when your lineup flips over and you have this guy come up for like his second time in the lineup, in the second time throughout the order, for example, you don't want your worst hitter on your team being the guy who's leading the way into Caro coming up again. At least that's how I think about it in my mind. So you want somebody who's not as bad as Noah Miller hitting behind Caro, essentially, or in front of Caro, is how I think about it, rather than having your worst guy hit 9. That's how it makes sense to me. But as far as the preseason predictions go here for the 2028 campaign, the Boston Red Sox are projected to win the American League East Division, even without Tanner Houck. Orioles, Yankees, Rays behind them. The Blue Jays projected to be absolutely god-awful. In the Central, it is the Tigers, Guardians, Twins, and then us only at 80 and 82, but they consistently do not respect our teams that we build in these games. But, it is expected to be a pretty tight Central Division as it was last season. While in the West, it's the Rangers and Mariners atop them, atop that division, with the rest of the group not really competing. They continue to not respect any of our hitters. Ramos, Jenkins, Montgomery, Caro never pop up on this list. Luckily, we do have Tanner Houck actually popping up on this list. That's good to see. You would hope that they would have the back-to-back Cy Young winner on this top pitchers list. And then on the National League side of things, the Braves projected to run away with the East Division. The Brewers, Reds, Cubs all projected to be pretty darn good in the Central. And then the Dodgers, D-backs, Giants, and Padres all projected to be beating up on each other over in the National League West. So that is what the 2028 Chicago White Sox look like as we are ready to try to compete and hopefully win more games than we did last year. We have consistently been around, I guess the past 2 seasons we were 83 and then 78, but 89 wins. Can we finally break past 89 wins and get 90 wins here in 2028?